gentlemen, and welcome to the show. You're watching your Top Think Tanks review, and I'm your host, Bryce Dolan. Today on the show, we're going to look at 5 different top 50 United States think tanks and look at the top stories from each one of their websites. To begin our show today, the Chinese government should immediately abolish a secretive detention system used to coerce confessions from corruption suspects. The Communist Party-run system known as Shuanggui has no basis under Chinese law, but is a key component of President Xi Jinping's anti-corruption campaign. President Xi has built his anti-corruption campaign on an abusive and illegal detention system, said Sophie Richardson, China director at Human Rights Watch. Torturing suspects to confess won't bring an end to corruption, but will end any confidence in China's judicial system.
就是从双规起的嘛，那你现在就光把这个，等于你把炉烧热了以后，到检察机关就趁热打铁，这肯定不对的嘛。法院把客观事实放到一边不看。晚上不回来，他们就说他那天晚上不回来。后来过了几天，报纸上就登他涉嫌重大，违纪违法。他在里头不给他吃饭，然后不给他睡觉，另外开着几千瓦的大灯照着他，不给饭吃，然后坐小板凳，保持那个姿势不可以动。几十个小时不能动，把屁股全都坐烂了，皮肤都流脓。他们说你已经被抓起来了，我们已经向外面宣布你是腐败分子了，没有人管你了，最好就跟我们合作，让他编一些假的受贿的罪行，能揭发别人就更好。如果你不交代的话，就把你家里的人都抓起来判刑。他就说，我丈夫坐牢坐定了，判刑也判定了，坐多少牢，判多少年都是他们定。我就说，都还没有开庭呢，法官也没有说，你们说什么呢？他们说，我们这里不需要法律的，法律那一套在这里不实用。我想说的就是，首先，我们这个国家需要有法治，所有的事情都是应该按照法律来的。如果不按法律来的话，每个人就会无法无天的话，每个人其实都是受害者。如果他是贪官，你要通过正常的司法程序来。这个事情不是我一家人的事情，是很多很多人的事情。另外就是这个国家需要法治。如果没有法治，这些贪官为所欲为的话，想怎么搞就怎么搞的话，就乱了嘛。希望通过我家的这一个事情说出来，能够提醒中国司法的进步嘛，哪怕一点点也是好的。
We only hope that the incoming Trump administration can strengthen the relations between China and the United States and can eventually call China out on ending these practices that abuse human rights. Now next, we're going to stay on the topic of U.S.-China relations. According to the Brookings Institution, the news that President-elect Trump has spoken by phone to Taiwan's president as part of the series of congratulatory calls on his election heightens concerns about Trump's foreign policy deftness. There are serious risks posed by his failure to take briefings by government professionals, and he appears to have little respect for the potential damage of actions taken without understanding long-standing U.S. national security concerns. Since the establishment of diplomatic relations between the United States and the People's Republic of China in 1979, no U.S. president or president-elect has had a face-to-face or telephone conversation with the president of Taiwan. This was an implicit part of the arrangement Washington accepted when it recognized the People's Republic of China as the sole legal government of all of China and agreed to conduct its relations with Taiwan on an unofficial basis. Unfortunately, President-elect Trump was waded into the thicket of U.S.-Taiwan relations without any apparent briefings by any senior State Department official intimately familiar with this long history. This phone call will likely to be interpreted by Beijing as something much more than a personal chat. The Chinese, unfortunately, are likely to see this as threatening a cornerstone of the edifice on which U.S.-China relations are built. The Chinese rarely overlook what they perceive a potential alteration in U.S. policy toward Taiwan. A look back at their conduct in 1995 when they undertook ballistic military exercises that threatened Taiwan in the wake of an unprecedented U.S. invitation to Taiwan's president to speak at Cornell University illustrates the Chinese mindset. We may neither like nor admire this, but we cannot ignore it. It is too soon to tell if the Chinese will overreact by taking steps against either Taiwan or American interests. So far, it would appear that cooler heads will prevail in Beijing. They seem to be blaming Taiwan's leadership rather than publicly asserting that Trump or the United States was responsible. They may judge that they should show restraint in order to avoid rocking the boat too soon in the relationship with the incoming Trump administration. That is not an experiment, however, that Trump should have conducted. It will put Beijing more on edge to react harshly to future challenges by Trump. So although China hasn't really reacted to the phone call between Trump and the president of Taiwan, it doesn't mean that in the future, if Trump does something to challenge the relations or the cornerstone of U.S.-China relations, that Beijing or China won't react more harshly since they kind of let this one slide by. So I can imagine they probably would let this one slide by since Trump isn't officially in the White House, and they're probably going to give him essentially a free pass and just be, okay, he doesn't really know what he's doing right now, so let's give him a pass for this time, but next time we're not going to let it slide. So the next time Trump challenges China, that's when we need to start being a little worried. Now next, the Pew Research Center found that food has become a flashpoint in American culture and politics. In the past generation, Americans have witnessed the introduction of genetically modified crops, the rise of the organic food industry, increasing concerns about obesity, growing awareness to food allergies, and other health concerns linked with what people eat, along with an expanding volume of best-selling books and publications about food and the proliferation of premier chefs as superstars in popular culture. There has been a pronounced shift in Americans' eating habits over the past 20 years with far-reaching implications for how food is created, prepared, and consumed. Moreover, the way Americans eat has become a source of potential social, economic, and political friction as people follow personal preferences reflecting their beliefs about how foods connect with their health and ailments, according to a new survey by Pew Research Center. Now, the new survey finds that 55% of Americans believe organically grown produce is healthier than conventionally grown varieties, while 41% say there is no difference between organic and conventionally grown produce, and 3% say that conventionally grown produce is better. 4 in 10 Americans, or 40%, say that most or some of the foods they eat are organic. Fully 3/4 of these Americans, 75%, are convinced that organic foods are healthier than conventionally grown foods. At the same time, there is a sizable minority, 39% of Americans, who consider genetically modified foods worse for a person's health than other foods. This compares with 48% of adults who say genetically modified foods are no different from non-genetically modified foods, and 10% who say GM foods are better for health. So there is a mix of opinions here on what is better for you and what is not. The majority of Americans agree that organic food is healthy for you, but a large number of Americans as well think, conventionally grown vegetables and produce and stuff like that is just as fine for you too. So it's really hard to say, but these last 20 years has brought about this whole organic food movement, which I think really was needed since there was a little bit of an obesity problem here in the United States. So if you want to check out more of that survey, the survey results from the Pew Research Center, I encourage you to do so. Now, on December 1st, 2016, Gambia's incumbent president, Jammeh, faced opposition candidate Adama Barrow in national elections. Despite a complete shutdown of the internet and international speculation that the current president would not allow a challenge to his 22 years in power, the Electoral Commission announced an opposition victory. Freedom House congratulates the people of Gambia on a largely peaceful election day, said Vukasin Petrovic, Director for Central East and West Africa Programs. Freedom House encourages all parties to accept the will of the people and positively notes President Yahya Jammeh's intention to concede. This move signals a hopeful path for Gambia's future democratic prospects. So the president of Gambia, who's been in charge for 22 years now, ladies and gentlemen, is finally stepping down because he lost his election to the opposition party. So great news for Gambia there as they continue to move towards a more democratic system. Hopefully this new president can come in and really set this country on a path towards democracy. Now, back with China again for the third time today. China is becoming increasingly active in the Middle East, just as some regional states perceive a declining U.S. commitment to the region. This study examines China's interest in the region and assesses China's economic, political, and security activities in the Middle East to determine whether China has a strategy toward the region and what such a strategy means for the United States. The study focuses on China's relations with two of its key partners in the Middle East, Saudi Arabia and Iran. The study concludes that China has adopted a weary dragon strategy towards the Middle East, whereby China is reluctant to commit substantial diplomatic or military resources to protect its growing energy and other economic interests. China does not pose a threat to U.S. interest in the region, and the United States is likely to remain the dominant security actor in the Middle East for the foreseeable future. The study recommends that the United States adopt a two-pronged strategy where China and the Middle East are concerned. First, the United States should encourage China, along with other Asian powers, to become more involved in efforts to improve Middle East stability. Second, the United States should work to reassure Middle East partners of an enduring U.S. security commitment to the region. The Pentagon should be open to new thinking in the Middle East and new approaches to working to protect key U.S. interests, including the possibility of cooperating with China in the Middle East. So as the U.S. remains the dominant, prominent, whatever security force in the Middle East, China is continually to go about a strategy with their partners in the Middle East for economic, energy, and political reasons. So we can't really ignore China's presence in this region, them being another superpower of the world. So definitely need to consider strengthening these relations between the United States and China so that we could possibly continue to work together for a better future. Well, ladies and gentlemen, if you want to check out any of these stories in their entirety, you can find the links to the articles below in the description. They will take you directly to the respective websites and the articles. While you do that, make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can get notified every time a new video is posted. Give our Facebook pages a like, follow us on Twitter. But thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. That does it for today. I was your host, Bryce Dolan.